Hello there. Welcome to Blitz Transmissions. This is the Blitzcast number 69. I'm Tommy, and before we get into the content of this week's episode of the Blitzcast, as always, you can check out the laundry list of links that can be found in the description below. If you're watching on YouTube, or if you're not watching on YouTube, you can always subscribe to Blitz Transmissions. That's where most of my content comes out. And guess what? I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. If you're an ARC Trooper in my Patreon, you would have seen this podcast episode early. If you'd like access to early content, monthly giveaways, and other awesome benefits, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. Become an ARC Trooper for just $4.99 a month. If you're a fan of the reviews I do on YouTube, or you'd like to support the YouTube channel more directly, you could also check out my YouTube channel membership, Rancor Battalion, for just 99 cents a month. It gives you access to exclusive badges, priority replies in my comment section, you get to check out all my reviews early here on YouTube, and you get to vote on what I review next for the channel, just like the Patreon members do. If you'd like some Blitz Transmissions swag, you could always head over to the Blitz Transmissions Armory, get cool stuff like this Blitz Transmissions coffee mug that I have here, and you can get that and other cool things over at the Blitz Transmissions Armory over on Printify. Link to that is in the description below, as well as links to my Discord and all my social media, including my Instagram, my Blitz Bounties Instagram, my X, my TikTok, and you can always email me at gmail.com. As always, you could also follow the Black Series Most Wanted Instagram page, as well, as that's something that's going to get updated throughout the year before we get into the Black Series Most Wanted 2027 at the end of this year, 2026. Well, the Blitzcast. Now, that's a name I've not heard in a long time. Long time. Well, hello everyone. I believe it has been about 3 weeks, if I'm doing my math right, since we had our last Blitzcast episode come out. And I think looking at my calendar on my phone here, that's about right. So you may be wondering, Tommy, what has been going on during the month of January that has kept you so busy? Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to level with you. Work has been absolutely absurdly busy this month. This shift that I'm on this month, I do rotating shifts every month. This month usually tends to be the busiest of the three, and I've just had a ton of overtime that I've had to work throughout the month, and it's just really limited the amount of time I've been able to spend making videos and making content for Blitz Transmissions. And it's been rough, you know. They're in the midst of the last 3 weeks. One weekend, Jen and I did go out of town. We went to Indiana to go visit Jen's brother and his wife, as they just had their second baby back in December. So we went and visited the family so Jen could, of course, meet her new niece. Congratulations to Josh and Becca on the new baby. But yeah, in the midst of the last 3 weeks, it's just been that. It's been lots and lots of overtime throughout the work weeks, and it's just been lots and lots of time I haven't been able to spend making content. This Blitz Transmissions is kind of a way that I de-stress and decompress from work, and I've definitely noticed it take a toll on me in the last 3 weeks. Not being able to do anything for my channel some days. And it was a little frustrating, but it's something that I've worked through, and hopefully now, as we're nearing, February, we'll switch shifts again, and usually I have a lot of extra time on my hands when I'm on this next shift, a lot of free time, that is, to poke around and do things on Blitz Transmissions, but yeah, it's just been busy, man, and unfortunately something had to give, something had to go on the back burner, and my fun hobby YouTube channel had to be the thing that went on the back burner, unfortunately. I'm back. We're back. We're going to try and get back into the weekly podcasts, try and get these things coming out on Saturdays like they're supposed to, right? But, we did have a lot of stuff happen in the last 3 weeks, despite all of the lack of Blitzcast episodes. So since the last Blitzcast episode, holy cow, just I guess to get into like, housekeeping things, we did have a live stream here on Blitz Transmissions where we did the community top 12 reveal for the Black Series Most Wanted. So if you want to check that out, it's a few weeks old now. You can go check it out, or you can follow the Black Series Most Wanted on Instagram. We have revealed the top 12 list out of the 503 submissions submitted by the Black Series community. It was a really great list. I thought it was a good mix of all the different eras of Star Wars and, all the different eras of content. And different media like comics to movies to shows, animation, live action. I thought it's been pretty cool. So, on top of that, we have other cool stuff as well. Like, I did a really cool interview this month with a guy that a gentleman that used to work at Hasbro. He was a digital sculptor. His name is Bailey Wheatland. Shout out, Bailey. It was awesome to get to interview you on the channel. That was really, really fun to get kind of the ins and outs of the sculpting side of the Black Series line and kind of see how things work on that aspect. I feel like that's an aspect of the action figure hobby that a lot of us don't get access to. I feel like that we don't hear a lot from that side. We hear a lot from like the marketers and the people that are much more community oriented. The people that their whole job is to communicate with people. So it was really cool to talk to somebody who especially has worked on such amazing figures for the Black Series. Like you can see them over to the side here, the San Diego Comic-Con Anakin and Obi-Wan. And then, of course, he worked on, like, Darth Sidious and Darth Malgus, the new prequel Yoda, which you can also see off to the side here. Very, very awesome. It was a great interview. Definitely go check it out. It's out on YouTube, as well as all the places where where the Blitzcast is held as well. That's, give me 1 second here, guys. And, sorry, I'm getting a message here from my buddies at the SWTVC, which is another thing I wanted to talk about. We have the SWTVC TVC March Madness, which just as of recording this today, it'll be over by the time this comes out. Today's the last day to submit your top 25 for the TVC March Madness to help determine which characters will make it into the top 64 bracket. So hopefully, fingers crossed. I did an entire video. That was another thing that I did on Blitz Transmissions this month was the SWTVC Funny. That was the next thing I was going to talk about, and those guys were messaging me. Shout out to them. I think they're over 1,200 submissions, which is pretty on par with how they did last year. So that's fantastic. Congratulations, guys. Very, very happy for you. I was very proud to have participated for the first time this year in TVC March Madness. I, of course, had a whole video dedicated on my channel where I went over all of my 25 picks. It was a great time. And then this month, we also had a Hasbro Star Wars fan stream. So I did my predictions video like I always do the night before the stream. I did my reactions and discussion live stream during the fan stream with Jackson from 1313 Podcast and my good friend Alexander Storm from Shadownows Network. We had a great time, and in that, we got one of the 12 from the Black Series Most Wanted already revealed, with Watto making his way into the Black Series. So if you want to see all of our excitement, all of our reactions, that live stream is available. We've also had two episodes of the Sarlacc Digest Toy Chest Monday show come out. We did one where that same day as the fan stream earlier this month, we covered that. And then I did a ton of short form content about the stream, whether it was the reveals or our reactions to the reveals. I've kind of been leaning more into the short form content, seeing, how I could diversify my content more and kind of reach more people. And I think it's been working pretty well for me so far. We also, when Jen and I had gone to Indiana, we got into contact with a toy store called Sir Troy's Toy Kingdom. They have 3 locations, and we had just found this by chance, like just scrolling Instagram. We are like, oh, like this. I sent a reel to Jen, like, look at this cool toy store. She's like, wow, that's on the way to when we go to Indiana. So we went to the location in Strongsville, Ohio. It was absolutely amazing. I covered it with several different pieces of, social media posts, and then a full vlog for the Bounty Hunting with Blitz series that we do here on the channel. Of course, then we also did another, Sarlacc Digest Toy Chest Monday. We talked to Cassidy, shout out Cassidy from Cube Squadron. Shout out to Cube Squadron as well, where we had celebrated their hitting of 1,000 backers on Kickstarter, and Cassidy revealed a new cube. If you want to see what that cube is, spoilers, it's amazing. You should definitely go check out the reveal over on Sarlacc Digest on YouTube. Let's see, what else did I put out? I put out a little discussion video earlier this week as well. I guess last week technically now. With a topic that I'll talk about a little bit later in this Blitzcast episode, about the announcement of Kathleen Kennedy stepping down and a couple people taking her place. So I did specifically about Dave Filoni being one of those people. Congrats, Dave. Very proud, very happy to see that you have achieved this goal. And so I made a video about how I'm very happy. I named it In Filoni We Trust, because that's how I feel about it. We also I was a guest a couple days ago now on the SWTVC YouTube channel. Thank you to the SWTVC crew for inviting me onto the channel as a guest to do our last call stream for the top 25 submissions for TVC March Madness, as I almost throw my phone on the ground. And then we also tried something new for Blitz Transmissions a few days ago. We decided, this was shout out 212th Hunter, obligatory 212th Hunter mention. This was his idea to do a game night for the Blitz Transmissions Discord. I was like, wow, that's a great idea. So Hunter organized it. He really spearheaded it, took the initiative on it. I'm very happy that he did that. He did a great job playing Battlefront 2 2017 on the Discord. We had several people join the Discord, made some social media posts about it, and Hunter said he had a nice small group of people that played some games, got to laugh, chat, just kind of hang out. It was a good time, and we're going to do another one in the future because the first one went well. So keep a lookout, follow on socials, or just join the Discord if you really just want to get in on the loop on these things. And then, of course, as of the day I'm recording this, earlier today, so yesterday, I did also do a Blitz Barracks stream, because I guess I didn't realize how early in the month the last Sunday of the month was, as today is now it's 20, just became the 26th. I'm recording this at like midnight. The Blitz Barracks number 7 I did with 212th Hunter, and shout out Scott Solo from Sarlacc Digest podcast coming in. We kind of talked about, comparing different scales between Vintage Collection, Black Series, and Hot Toys, and kind of, talked about how our collecting habits have changed a little bit, caught up on some Star Wars news throughout the month, as this month ended up being a pretty heavy month for Star Wars news. So, yeah, give me 1 second here, guys. I'm going to keep... Sorry, guys, I'm talking to my guys at SWTVC here. But all that aside, I think that about wraps up a much lengthier housekeeping segment than usual. I feel like there's not much that I have upcoming that you guys should be ready for. Just Sarlacc Digest, Toy Chest Monday, every Monday now, as we have moved to a weekly show. And I'm sure throughout the episode I'll think of other things. But like I said, it's just been like, this month has been such a blur. I feel like this month like flew by. Like it just came and went so quickly. And I've haven't had much time to really record much, but then I like talk about everything that I did in the last few weeks. I'm like, I did a lot of big things this month. I just didn't have the upload consistency that I usually have. And that bugs me. And I definitely want to rectify that. Going into February, I want to be much more consistent with the uploads. I have so much stuff to review. I've got like the SHF General Grievous. I want to review this so bad. I want to get him out of the box. I have the new TVC wave just out of reach here, unless I can grab one of these here. Here's a couple of them offhand. Padme and Maul from Maul Shadow Lord, which that's going to be a topic of this podcast episode. I want to open these. I want to open these so bad, and I just time has just not been my friend lately. But I guess that's just part of being an adult, isn't it? Just being a busy adult. Let's just kind of get into the newsy topics here, because now we've caught up. You know what I've been up to. I've given you my lame excuse as to why I haven't podcasted for the last 3 weeks. Let's talk some Star Wars, shall we? I'm very excited. Usually we've been on a very philosophical kick here on Blitz Transmissions lately, on the Blitzcast especially, but I put my lat hat on today because I was really feeling the spirit of the lat through a certain teaser trailer that came out. But before we get into that, I do want to talk about a big couple announcements that happened this month. So the first one, I'm going to kind of breeze through this first one because I've never been to the Disney parks, so it doesn't really pertain to me as much. But there is the announcement that just recently happened that I guess the Disney parks are changing the format of Galaxy's Edge. It's not just going to be a sequel trilogy focus anymore. It's going to be broken up. There's going to be a sequel trilogy section and an original trilogy / Mandoverse section. I think that this is a really, really smart move. I know we'd heard rumors about this years and years ago now, like probably 3 or 4 years ago at this point, but it seems to have come to fruition very recently, earlier this month, and I think it's a good idea. I think nothing beats the original trilogy. When it comes to marketability in Star Wars, you can't top the original trilogy. It is the most marketable thing tenfold as opposed to any other era or time period of Star Wars. So I think that's just the smartest way to go about it. And also canonically, according to the Del Rey timeline of the novels, Darth Vader was at Black Spire Outpost with Grand Admiral Thrawn. It was a thing that they both did together. And Anakin Skywalker had been there with Padme and Thrawn, but at that point we only knew him as Mithron Urodo. Hopefully I pronounced that right. It's been a while since I pronounced Thrawn's government name. But yeah, I hope to see that happen sooner rather than later. I think it's going to really spark more interest in Galaxy's Edge. And I think it's good that Disney is kind of not stubbornly only leaning into their Star Wars creations. I think it's obviously great that they finally seem to be acknowledging and leaning into legacy media and acknowledging that it just can't be beat in marketability. You can't beat the OT. I say that as a prequel Clone Wars kid. You can't beat the OT. Of course, until that generation all finally croaks, and then us prequel kids can take over. That's what we're waiting patiently for. But yeah, so that's a thing. So keep in mind, keep a lookout. We'll see as things probably start to trickle in throughout the year. Moving aside from that, we also have a huge official announcement from Lucasfilm. And again, I had talked about it earlier, so I won't dwell on it for a really long time. And again, I did talk about it again on Blitz Barracks. There was a big official announcement from Lucasfilm after years and years of rumors and hoaxes and fake news and just phony, bogus about Kathleen Kennedy getting fired, retiring, stepping down, whatever the verbiage was. She had a Indian rug burn match with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. She got drop kicked by George Lucas, and George Lucas came and stormed in and took over Star Wars again and beat up Mickey Mouse. We finally have an official announcement from Lucasfilm. It's real, and it's legit. It's actually happening. Kathleen Kennedy is retiring, and taking her place are going to be 2 people, Dave Filoni and Lin-Wen Brennan. This is huge for Star Wars, in my opinion. I'm so excited about this announcement. Lin-Wyn Brennan, I didn't know who I'm going to be totally honest, I didn't know who Lin-Wyn Brennan was before this announcement. It's on StarWars.com. It's a legit announcement. You can go find it on StarWars.com. If you literally Google, because I did this earlier today, if you Google Dave Filoni Lucasfilm 2026, first article that pops up on your Google search is the article from StarWars.com. Lin-Wyn Brennan has extensive experience at Lucasfilm with Star Wars production process. So that's going to be her role. Is more of the administrative, logistical, if that's a word, kind of aspects of a leadership role at Star Wars. Kind of a lot of what Kathleen Kennedy was already doing. Whereas Dave Filoni is going to, yes, be in charge and give that stamp of approval on things, but also be in charge of the creative direction of Star Wars. Now, that is huge for me. And I think it's because I think Dave is the best fit for the job. That was my whole In Filoni We Trust video. It's been really surprising as time has gone on. I've always just assumed that everybody loved Dave Filoni, but then I found out that there's this weird group of film bros that really don't like Dave Filoni, and they think that he's lame and unoriginal and shallow. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But then again, do film bros really like anybody? I think that's a question we need to ask. So if they don't like Dave Filoni, do they really like anybody? I think Dave is the most obvious choice for leading Star Wars and leading Lucasfilm because he worked directly with George Lucas for years and years and years on the Clone Wars. I know I touched on it in this video, and some of this is kind of rehashing that, but that's just how I feel about it. I think he's the only one that really makes sense for that position. And it kind of is shocking to me that people would be unhappy that he's in this position now. It's who would you want instead? Because Dave is going to stay true to what George wanted Star Wars to be and what his vision for Star Wars was. Dave Filoni is not going to, completely radically change Star Wars to fit what he thinks it should be. He always, and I can tell when I watch Dave Filoni's projects, or projects that he's heavily involved in, it's totally something George Lucas would make, whether you like it or not. It's totally George Lucas. So, excuse me. Sorry, guys. I am so tired. It's just been a very long month, to be honest with you. Not even a long day, long month. But yeah, it just totally tracks for me that Dave, would be consistent with what things that George would make. And I think he's the best fit for the job. I think that, and especially the fact that Lin-Wyn Brennan is taking over a lot of the stuff that would otherwise bog Dave Filoni down and stifle his ability to be so involved with the creative side of things. I think ultimately, at the very least, we're going to see a lot more consistency in the storytelling of Star Wars. I think we're going to see a lot less of those roll your eyes, plot hole inconsistency moments that then have to be explained away later on. And the other thing is Dave Filoni still at the same time likes to take risks with Star Wars. I mean, there's been so many arcs and episodes of the Clone Wars that really lean into different genres and different tropes from entertainment and film throughout the decades. And I think that he's the person. It's always still felt Star Wars when you watch the Clone Wars. It all feels like that very genuine Star Wars. And yeah, there's obviously arcs that I like more than others, and episodes and characters that I like more than others. But it all still felt like it was in the same universe. That never for a millisecond watching that show did I feel like I wasn't watching Star Wars. And I think that speaks a lot to, there's a lot of projects now, you don't really feel like you're watching Star Wars. So I think that at the very least, whether you like all the projects that Dave is involved with or writes or not, I think that we should all be able to at least acknowledge that, yeah, I think the universe is going to feel a lot more consistent. We won't have so many issues with plot holes and things of that nature. But yeah, other than that, we've been starting to see some leaked promotional images for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming out May 22nd. I am over the moon excited for the Mandalorian and Grogu. Really, really looking forward to that. And I hope that it, kind of sets us off on a trajectory. We've started the year off with great news, so we're on a high. Hopefully we don't have to crash and burn with the Mandalorian and Grogu again. I know I've said it a few times. I don't know if I've said it on the Blitzcast. When I went to ICC-Con in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, in 2025, one of the guests they had was Brendan Wayne. Brendan Wayne is the man that is in the Mandalorian suit, the Din Djarin suit, for most of the scenes that he's in. So when the helmet's on, it's Brendan Wayne for the most part. Unless it's like a very acrobatic, fighting scene, they'll have a stunt double sometimes come in. But most of the time, it's Brendan Wayne playing Din Djarin. I got to talk to him for a little bit when I met him at ICC-Con, had him autograph my my original TVC Mando figure. Super cool. Add that to the collection. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't think I ever yawn on the show, and I am just so. I mean, I'm so dog tired, and it is crazy. Yeah, he. When I met him, I had asked him. I said, "Hey, listen, I know you can't say much. Like, I'm not even gonna try get the scoop or anything. But what do you think about the Mandalorian and Grogu movie?" And what he had to say was really interesting. He said it was. With Mando Season 1, he loved it. Mando Season 2 kind of got away from what they were doing in Season 1, but he still liked it, just not as much as Season 1. And he said in Season 3, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau had come to him before they even started filming and said, hey, we need to move the story along, the broader narrative, so, you're going to kind of hold the water for Bo-Katan. She's going to kind of take the lead this season. Begrudgingly, he was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Obviously you don't want your character, which is the namesake of the show, to be the one taking a step back and holding the water for a side character. But, he said, yeah, I got to trust the process. So I asked him, about the movie. So, again, I think I got a little bit of insight to how he was about Star Wars, because if he was just, oh, I love everything, then you could probably write off his answer, whatever it was going to be, as like, oh, he's a shill. He just likes everything. But he had said that, hearing him be critical about the second and especially the third season of Mando, I was like, okay, so this guy can be critical of his work and, the work that he's a part of. And he said to me that his work on Mando and Grogu is some of his favorite work he's ever done in his entire career, and that it is in his words, a return to form to Season 1 of The Mandalorian. So that has me stoked for this movie. I loved Season 1. Season 1 of The Mandalorian is one of the things that really brought me back into Star Wars in my young adult life and made me obsessed with the franchise like I am now. So I'm really excited to see this movie. So hopefully Brendan Wayne doesn't lead me astray and I end up really just loving the movie as much as he says he enjoyed being a part of filming it. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to The Mandalorian and Grogu very, very much. But there's another topic for us to talk about, isn't there? And this is one that I unfortunately have not had the chance to make a video about. I don't even know if I will at this point, because it's kind of like a dead topic at this point. I've kind of missed the boat on the hype train, but maybe I'll make a video anyway. It is, of course, the teaser trailer that we got this past week for the next Star Wars series coming to Disney Plus, an animated series, Maul Shadowlord. Now, we got a lot of details on Maul Shadowlord. There's a full article on StarWars.com about Maul Shadowlord on top of, all the promotions. I have to say, I'm already in love with the way that they're promoting this show. The day before the teaser trailer came out, on Instagram and X and all that, they dropped a little, an animation that was like, hey, there's a trailer coming tomorrow. And the art style of it was just amazing. It reminded me so much of the cave drawings in the 2003 Clone Wars on Nelvon, when Anakin finds out, the kind of, the foreshadowing of Anakin becoming Darth Vader. That was awesome. It reminded me a lot of that. And there's you get to see Maul when he's cut in half, falling down the shaft on Naboo. in Phantom Menace. That was like, super cool little details there. And I thought the art style was great, very consistent throughout. And it felt like this like higher quality than what we've been seeing from Star Wars. You know, I have to say though, still, I will maintain Lucasfilm is doing a horrible job at marketing The Mandalorian and Grogu. They should have full trailers everywhere, promotions everywhere. This is Star Wars, attempting a triumphant return to the movie theater with their most successful characters since the original trilogy, I would argue. I mean, the marketability of Mando and Grogu, aka Mando and Baby Yoda, as like, the casuals know them, is on par with Darth Vader, Boba Fett, Stormtrooper. Just saying. It's that iconic. So I really hope that they step up their game when it comes to marketing the movie, or else people aren't even going to know it's out. I mean, life goes so fast now for people that, unless you really let people know something is coming, it's going to go right over people's heads. For example, I missed Avatar Fire and Ash, and I really wanted to see that movie. Missed it in theaters because, obviously came out this month and, life was busy, but still. Anyway, so they did that teaser for the teaser trailer. It was like an appetizer for the teaser trailer. We got the teaser trailer the next day, and, dude, I'm blown away. I don't even know much about the plot. What I'm being led to believe is the plot so what we know is that this takes place, about a year, maybe less than that, after the Clone Wars Season 7, the ending of that. Because we see Maul escape the Venator in a Republic shuttle, and obviously we know he lives, well past that point. He doesn't die until Star Wars Rebels at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I'm just really, really excited for what this story is going to tell. I think that's what I'm looking forward to most with Maul Shadow Lord, is the story that it can tell. The teaser trailer was just magnificent. It really was. It really was. I think from what I'm getting from the plot is Maul is, kind of figuring out what to do with his syndicate, because obviously this is pre, Crimson Dawn Maul that we see in Solo, a Star Wars story, and that's about 10 years after, in universe, it's about 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. So we know that Maul's kind of like at the height of his empire there. And we know that Maul's like kind of on the run as well in this trailer, because we have multiple Inquisitors coming after him. That's one thing that I'm loving about this trailer so far, is the inclusion of, familiar faces that we've seen recently, continuing to connect dots, make the universe feel like more, not smaller, because we love that Star Wars is so massive and so vast. I think what I love more is like that we're connecting dots. What I hate to see in Star Wars, we introduce characters and then we do nothing with them. That's something that I hate, when there's like dead story beats because something didn't work. The Acolyte is a perfect example. That's my biggest frustration with The Acolyte. Just finish the story. Don't leave us hanging after you put all this effort into introducing us to these characters, even if we don't end up caring about them. Just finish the story. I don't need it to be good. Just get it done so that we have something to have a conclusion with, have some closure with. That said, I think that Maul Shadow Lord does a great job of bringing in small characters like the 11th Brother and Marok being the two Inquisitors that go after Maul. And I'm really intrigued to see what happens with maybe the potential of a certain man who's in charge of the Inquisitors, Lord Vader, coming in to fight Maul in this show. So, the 11th Brother is the Inquisitor that Ahsoka cuts down in Tales of the Jedi. We can assume that that's the one she uses the Kyber crystals from to purify and get her white lightsabers we see her have in Rebels. Marok, of course, this is before Marok becomes a Night Sister fart. as we see him in Ahsoka as. So I'm really interested to see how these guys do. Something tells me Maul is going to be the one that ends up defeating Marok, putting him out of his misery. But that 11th brother, he's going to have to live. So I'll be interested to see how all that plays out. It'll be really cool. But again, I like how, you know, it's very much a more congruent story. Like they're making these characters, they're giving us these characters to, you know, recognize, so that when we see them in other media, we do have that moment of like, oh, that's cool fan service. Because again, it's like they could have used any Inquisitors. Out of all the, I think we know about 12 of them, and all of them are alive at this point. It's not like any of them are dead. So I am really excited. But they mention that the Inquisitors say the Emperor wants you dead. And now if the Inquisitors can't handle something, if Maul takes them out, and if the Emperor himself wants Maul dead, I would imagine that the Emperor would send Vader after Maul. And that is a lightsaber fight I would love to see. Speaking of fighting, probably my biggest excitement with the trailer is just how crazy the combat is. The lightsaber fights are just brutal. Dismemberment out the wazoo. They pulled no punches when they were animating this. And that's the big thing about this series too. It's told from Maul's perspective. So it's going to be crazier, it's going to be more rigid, it's going to be edgier. It's going to be more vibrant, more potent, more brutal, more ruthless. All words that could describe Maul. And I think that from what I see in the trailer, this series is going to do a great job of keeping me invested, just from cool factor, but also from how it can continue to flesh out this era. I'm loving that we're continuing to explore this era too, of the immediately after Clone Wars Season 7, you know, very similar to the Bad Batch, very similar to what we saw in some of Tales of the Underworld, some of Tales of the Jedi. I like this direction. I like knowing what characters are getting up to, where we can kind of put them leading up to where we see them much later, in many cases in the Mandoverse. Seeing if they've, remained stagnant or if they've changed, but still giving us familiar faces to look at and recognize on screen. That's my kind of fan service. The stuff that's not too obvious, the stuff that we just notice and we as fans can go, oh, there it is, and point and hoot and holler at the screen. So Maul Shadow Lord is going to be 10 episodes long. It's going to start with a 2-episode premiere on April 6th. Now, that was something that threw me off. I was not expecting Shadow Lord to come out so soon. I thought I had heard when it first got announced, which might have been at Celebration Japan, I thought I had heard that it wasn't coming out until the fall of 2026. And, so that kind of had me a little worried because there was that rumor that came out earlier this month, that Ahsoka Season 2 wasn't on the slate for 2026. I was like, man. But now I'm kind of wondering if, maybe production for Ahsoka had to get pushed back, or prolonged, post-production. So Maul Shadow Lord kind of was, was like, oh, it's ready. We may as well push it up. So it's going to be 2 episodes that drop on April 6th, and then it's going to be 2 episodes per week for 5 weeks, because it's 10 episodes in the season, and then we're going to get the last 2 episodes on May 4th, so that's very fitting. That's pretty cool. We're going to get our last 2 episodes on Star Wars Day. Always love, an opportunity, an excuse to celebrate Star Wars Day. But I'm really excited. It's gonna be a great show. But yeah, we had there was the rumor that Ahsoka Season 2 wasn't gonna happen this year. So hopefully that means that there's that fall slot is still open, and then Ahsoka Season 2 can happen this year still, because I really want Ahsoka 2 to happen this year. I'm really, really excited for that series. Let's see. Any other comments I want to make about Maul Shadow Lord? Maul Shadow Lord is a story that I'm really interested to see, because I think one thing that people are forgetting about this show is that Maul is Sisyphus, and we've all seen that interview where Sam Witwer talks about Maul being Sisyphus, but the whole idea is that he rolls the boulder all the way to the top of the hill, he almost gets his way, and then it all comes crashing down, and he has to start from the beginning again. We've seen Maul have to go through this several times at this point in the timeline, and I can't help but wonder if, everyone he associates with gets cut down. In the first season here. So, we'll see how that plays out. I'll be interested to see how that plays out. But I think people might be forgetting, like I said, that Maul is Sisyphus. So I would imagine this is all going to crash and burn, which also, to me, kind of plays into my theory that, Vader I'll do it again. Lord Vader is going to be making his way into the show as some sort of, like, final boss, like, surprise, boss for Maul to fight and obviously lose to, because, it's in my opinion, I know some of my friends and I were debating this, it's not even close, dude. Maul is getting bodied by Vader. It's not even close. Even though at this point Vader's in the suit. Doesn't matter. But yeah. It's gonna be a cool show, man. I'm really excited. And then we have this whole, it looks like this, underworld police department, because the costumes are very similar to the Coruscant underworld police force. So I thought it was on Coruscant, but no, it is not. Which, come to think of it, why would Maul be hiding on Coruscant of all the planets in Star Wars? I feel like that would be a little, redundant. Especially because that's where Palpatine is, and a lot of the Imperial military might. But yeah, it's gonna be a great show, man. Maul Shadow Lord. I'm so excited for Maul Shadow Lord. It's gonna be such a fantastic time. Trying to think if there's anything else I have to say. Yeah, the underworld police seem to be like our enemy that we have to watch out for, because this is going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be a lot like The Sopranos or other shows where you're like following the bad guy, but it's told from the perspective like you're rooting for the bad guy. Joker with Joaquin Phoenix is another great example of a movie like that. That I think that, it's you end up rooting for the quote unquote bad guy, the stereotypical bad guy. So we've all been rooting for Maul, in Clone Wars. We're all kind of conditioned to it, and he's lost so much at this point, losing his brother, losing, his power on Mandalore. There's a lot that he's lost here, and there's a lot of street cred that he needs to gain back. So yeah, I'll be watching very, very closely, because I also love the animation style, and obviously I'm a pig myself, so I gotta watch the piggies in the show. If you know. But then we also have our I think the Twi'lek's name is Devin Izara. I think I got that right. Devin Izara. I'm sure there will be like a pronunciation in the show, because I haven't heard like the name pronounced by somebody who's knowledgeable enough to know how the name is pronounced. But I'm interested to see how that plays out. There's also like this other older Jedi sage character that seems to be being portrayed as some sort of like adversary for Maul in the show. And man, I'm excited, because at this point, I mean, the galaxy's pretty lawless. It's a pretty crazy place out there in the galaxy. So I'd be interested to see how things play out for Maul here, how he kind of weasels his way and causes some chaos, some distraction, some drama, for the new fledgling empire. So, and of course, another thing that I want to talk about, more collecting focused with the trailer, was we see all kinds, this is again why I chose to wear my lat hat, we see all kinds of Republic gunships with TK stormtroopers in them. Please, Hasbro, make me a TVC TK trooper so that I can stock my HasLab gunships with TK troopers. My 71,000 gunships can all be stocked with TK troopers for maybe, a certain horned Sith Lord to cut down, pulling up this Maul figure once again. That'd be super sick, just saying. I'd love to get it. I saw Hot Toys released a TK Stormtrooper earlier this week, and I was like, I would love to see TVC and Black Series match that energy. But yeah, super excited for the trailer, super excited about the trailer, super excited for the series. I think there's just nothing but good things to look forward to. I think we're setting ourselves up for a really, really great year with Star Wars, and I'm really stoked to see what comes next. Especially if the Mandalorian and Grogu is just like a fun, lighthearted fare, a real slam dunk for Star Wars in the box office. I think that's what Star Wars needs right now. I was kind of talking to, I forget who it was, but, kind of talking about, Star Wars feeling like watered down, like it's a little lackluster now because there's just so much of it, we don't appreciate it as much because it's not like this big event that it used to be, because it's just, and there's always new Star Wars now, which I love new Star Wars, but I barely have any time to watch the existing Star Wars, let alone rewatch the new stuff. And, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to choose to watch, Star Wars I grew up with over rewatch, the thing that I saw one time. So I've been, I enjoy when it's, spread out a little more, makes it feel more like an event. And it also makes it a little more special when it comes out, it draws more attention, yeah, so that's where I'm at on that. Let's see. I can't believe, I feel like this is a short podcast considering we haven't podcasted in 3 weeks. I don't have a deep philosophical question or topic for everybody today. So no, I just wanted to catch up on some Star Wars news, man. There's been so much goodness going on in the Star Wars world, that I'm really excited to, dive back into the world of Star Wars here soon. So I think that's all I have. We'll keep things short. Like I said, I'm really tired, guys. It's like 12:30 in the morning. I just wanted to make sure I posted a podcast episode, kind of get the ball rolling, get us back into the rhythm of Blitz transmissions. We got lots of videos to make. Lots and lots of videos. And, what better way to do it than by, staying on top of things, starting off with a Blitzcast episode. So, guys, keep a lookout on the Blitz Transmissions Discord, on the social media. We post all the time about Blitz Transmissions because we've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. As always, guys, thank you so much for being patient with me. Thank you for supporting me all throughout 2025. I hope that 2026 is, an even bigger year for Blitz Transmissions. I think it's already shaping up to be just that. And I really hope that we can gain some big milestones this year. I want to cover some real ground with the growth of the Blitz Transmissions social media this year. And, I appreciate you guys being so understanding with, the no podcast for over 3 weeks. We're back with the Blitzcast, don't worry. And we're gonna take the bull by the horns this year. I'm excited. So I guess I'll cut it there. Again, a little shorter pod, but it's a little short for a Blitzcast, but I think it's a good one still. Of course, follow me, subscribe, check out all the socials. Thanks for catching this episode of the Blitzcast. We'll see you for the next one. And as always, guys, never forget, may the Force be with you.
Breaking off. All units, fire at will. 1-2, pick a target. Too many, Captain. Watch your stabilizer, Gold 6. Anybody cover me. I got 2 vultures on my tail. Gotta hold them here. Watch your left. I can't shake them. I'm hit. Where's our reinforcements?